Hello everybody, it's your boy Tobacco back at it with another banger. Today we are going to be talking about my first acid trip. Now this story starts a good 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. It was snowy outside. It was like December or January, man. I had been watching a whole lot of YouTube videos on acid. I was taking a class called Human and Social Services, and I was learning about a bunch of different drugs and their effects in that class, and it kind of really made me want to take those drugs, I'm not gonna lie. Now, I hit up a couple different people about this. First of all, I hit up my boy Joseph. That's what I've been calling him in the videos, Joseph. I hit him up, and, he said he might be able to figure out somebody. So I trusted him. I hit the one and only plug up, not the one and only, I have two plugs, but one of the plugs up and asked him if he could get it. And then I hit up my boy, I'm going to call him Z-Dog, and then I'm going to call my girl C-Dog in this video. But anyway, I hit up Z and C-Dog, and they're both down as well. So we got this big old group that's just willing to do this. And we were looking for a way to finally get our hands on it, because that was just what we were looking for, The one and only, the second plug that I mentioned earlier, he was not able to get it. He told me he might be able to. We waited like 2 weeks, and that boy could not get it. He was just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I've sold it before. I just can't now." Which is fair enough. I mean, we were still in school at the time. He was plugging mainly just weed, just pins. So I hit up my boy Joseph, and let's just say Joseph knows somebody. He knows a guy who knows a guy, or knows a guy who knows a lady, really. And at the time, we were both working at Wendy's with this dude who knew a gal, this guy who knew a gal. So, Joseph being at work, and the guy he was talking about also being at work, he essentially just asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, here's the phone number. And it turned out to be this dude's mom. And his mom pulled up in a very interesting whip. It was like a very broken down red minivan. She looked like she did crack. And obviously before she pulled up, I had my boy Joseph call her up, and she's like, yeah, I can get that. Just give me like 30 minutes. So we sat at bro's work after he got off for like 30 minutes. And let me tell you, it always felt very sketch sitting outside of this Wendy's. Like, everybody inside of the Wendy's was doing drugs. Like, the dude on grill, and sometimes he was on fries. Well, actually, I think the majority of the time he was on fries, and sometimes he was on grill. He like legitimately snorted pills the entire time. Like, he'd take bathroom breaks to go snort pills. He'd go out to his car during his breaks and snort pills. Like, it was crazy. And it was fucking freezing cold. But that's besides the point. She pulls up in this broken down red minivan and tells us to just hop in. And we go over to, like, this parking lot next to where we were at. And she hands us some, like, tinfoil. Like, we're about to do some fucking fent. I don't know what the fuck she was thinking, bro. But she wrapped it up in tinfoil. But basically, she handed us this little, like, piece of tinfoil that's folded up into, like, a square. And then, we headed our ass back to my crib. And we just put it in our pocket. And she dropped us off. So we had to walk in the cold because she didn't want to give us a ride. And while we're on the way back, I call up Z-Dog and C-Dog, and Z-Dog's just like, I don't know if I'm feeling it today. Like, I don't know about today. So, Z-Dog cancels. And then we call up C-Dog, and C-Dog, of course, is immediately down. Dude, this chick was always ready for anything. And I don't know what it was. I guess I said my girl. She was my girl. I meant my girl as in my friend. But essentially, this chick was just ready to take any drug we had prepared, honestly. So she starts heading down to my crib while we're also walking down to my crib. We all three get there and we walk up to my room. No parents are awake, no nothing. In fact, this was a school night and nobody was home, like, whatsoever. And this was, of course, when I was still in school. So we get up to my room and I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should wait a little bit longer. And that's kind of what we did. We put it all on the desk, and like, we hadn't even unwrapped it or anything to see if it was actually there. And we hang out for like 30 minutes to an hour. We're chilling, we're playing video games, we're listening to music. We turn on this trippy video on my computer. Like, we're having all sorts of fun. And that's when we decide to finally take these tabs. So we unravel this square piece of tinfoil to see 3 pieces of, like, gel, it looks like. And I was personally expecting something like paper tabs. I didn't even know gel tabs existed at the time, so I was like, oh, we got sold fake tabs. Which honestly, from the lady we bought them off of, they very well could have been fake. I can't stress enough that we are stupid and we're buying off the wrong people for certain. But also at the same time, I guess, you would really trust a drug addict to find you good drugs. So I don't know how to feel about that. But anyway, we take these and we wait about 30 minutes until we start really feeling it. And since we all only took one singular tab, I mean, we weren't like crazy fucked up. Like for me, I remember it just made me feel very stimulated. I went and looked in the mirror. My eyes were not bowling balls. They were more like, I don't know, a bowling pin from downwards looking up or upwards looking down. Now I was a little like sad that I didn't get the trip that I was hoping for. However, our girl Sea-Dog, who is much smaller than both me and my buddy Joseph, she was having a grand old fantastic fucking time. She was talking about seeing shit. She was up and dancing to music. She was excited to play video games, which she's never excited to do. Like, she wanted to do anything and everything, and she was ready for a party. Now, I look over at my buddy Joseph, and he's sitting at my computer desk. At the time, it was in a corner of the room, away from the TV and the bed and everything, and he's just staring at this trippy video on the screen. And that's kind of what he just does whenever he gets, like, fucked up on hallucinogens. He had done them way more than I had. I remember at some point we all, like, took our phones out to look at our faces, and they were kind of, for me anyways, it was, like, moving around. I don't know how it was for them, but I'm pretty sure they described a similar, like, experience. I can't quite remember. Now, Sea-Dog, let me tell you, Sea-Dog is, like, borderline alcoholic, like, really likes alcohol. So her idea was, oh, we need to get alcohol. We need to do so much more with this. So I look over to Joseph, and I'm like, hey, Joseph, you know how to get alcohol, maybe? Because obviously, you know, we're all under the age of 21 at this point. And he's like, you know, I actually do know where to get alcohol. I've been getting it off of this gas station dude at the place next to Wendy's, like the gas station next to Wendy's. And he was basically like, yeah, we can pull up anytime after 11 and he'll sell to me. Now, this was fantastic news to us. And I was also looking for a vape. So I was like, hey, you think he'll slide us a vape over there too? And he was like, yeah, probably. And we all chip in for alcohol and a vape. We take our, like, $50 down to the gas station, walking in this freezing fucking cold once again. We buy 3 packs of 99 shooters, as well as 2 Juuls and Juul pods. Now, when we walk inside, for whatever reason, there's actually 2 people working there at this ungodly hour for who knows what reason. And after this dude sells us the alcohol, she's basically like, hey, you didn't ID them. And she is in the other lady who was working, not the dude who sold it to us, but the other lady who was working was like, hey, you didn't ID them. And we were kind of walking out at that point, so it didn't really matter, but I'm pretty sure we got that boy fired because we never got off him again after that. And something we realized after walking out that door is we didn't grab any sort of bag or anything to put it in. And all of us kind of assumed, you know, walking around with alcohol isn't the best thing or the best look, especially if we get stopped. So our bright ideas was to, first of all, give me my fucking Juuls, bro, because they didn't get me anything good. They got me the least expensive shit they could get so they could get more alcohol. But give me fucking them, you know, we put them in my pocket, and then we grabbed the shooters, and each of us put one under our hoodie, and we walked the fuck back to my house. I don't remember this walk being too much of a problem for me off of acid. I might have been a little extra stimulated, a little extra hyper, but I don't remember it being too much of a problem, and that's what kind of makes me think those taps might have been fake. Nevertheless, I mean, they had me stimulated, and everybody else seemed to be having a good time off them, so even if they were fake, you know, placebo effect, I guess. We get home, and I remember I took about maybe 5 shots. My buddy Joseph, he takes about maybe 3, and then our girl Sea-Dog, she takes the rest of them. Like, there was, 36, I take 5, he takes 3, so she took 29 shots. And I don't know how she wasn't blackout drunk. Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know if she blacked out, but she definitely fell asleep on the bed for like an hour or two. And then I go to sleep, and then whenever I wake up, she's just gone. And Joseph tells me, he's like, Yeah, so she drunk dialed her ex and got an Uber 30 minutes away to go see her ex. And I don't know, I don't remember how I felt about that too well. I do just remember that I really wasn't fucking with how she came over and, took a bunch of our drugs and then kind of just left us to go get some dick, bro. I might have mentioned it to her, I might not have. I can't really remember that much. But I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, hey, don't come do our drugs if you're not gonna stick around and hang out. Now, my boy Joseph, he went to a different school in town, so he didn't have school that day because they didn't have school Fridays for whatever reason. And I did have school that day. So, I get up, and then I decide I'm just not gonna go to school. So me and Joseph, we just go right the fuck back to sleep. And then later on in the day, my stepdad walks into the room. He sees my buddy Joseph plastered out on the floor, and me as well. And my eyes were hurting like a bitch, so I figure that they probably looked kind of crazy too. Because I get up off the ground whenever he says my name. He was kind of yelling it, and he's just like, oh my god, your eyes. And then he left me the fuck alone. I went right back to sleep. And a couple weeks after that, I ended up switching to online school, so nothing like that would ever be an issue again. And I'm pretty sure when he seen my eyes, he also kicked Joseph out and told him he had to walk home, because I do remember him sending me a snap at the McDonald's and just sitting there all upset. Anyways, since that's all I can really remember about this story, this is going to conclude this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and maybe subscribe if you want to see more. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much, and this is going to be Tobacco out.